Hello and welcome back to the TyreRecycling podcast. We're here with what is episode 23 in our series. I'm once again joined by Ewan Scott, the magazine's editor. Ewan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Looking forward to talking to Thomas at Scandinavian Enviro Systems.
Fantastic. Well, if the viewers watched episode 2022, they'll notice that we are wearing the same clothes from episode 22. So we recorded everything together to save on time. You'll also notice that Ewan is wearing the same suit from this episode. So all this was done today to try and fit in with everyone's schedule. But we've obviously made a lot of promotion about the fact that we have an interview with Thomas Sörensson from Scandinavian Enviro Systems, the winner of the Tyre Pyrolysis Award in the Recircle Awards, Ewan. There's been so much promotion and publication about Scandinavian Enviro Systems, and there's so many places where you could start. For you, what are you really looking forward to finding out about?
I think it's really just the update on where Enviro Systems are and where they hope to go. The company has been through a long gestation period with its technology, over 30 years. So the team there has changed over the years, obviously, but the aim has always been to break into the pyrolysis market in a little bit more than a big way. They have reached the goals that most pyrolysis companies dream of. They're working with tire manufacturers now, because they work with Trelleborg, and of course the much vaunted deal with Michelin. So it's going to be interesting to hear what Thomas has to say about Enviro and the deal and how it will change Enviro's operations, if indeed it will change Enviro's operations.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to finding out from this. From my perspective, Scandinavian Enviro Systems, they communicate very well and they're quite forward thinking in the few discussions I've had with them. So I'm really excited to see what this discussion has. So let's just park our little introduction here and let's press play on that interview with Thomas Sörensson from Scandinavian Enviro Systems.
Thank you for joining us, Thomas Sörensson from Scandinavian Enviro Systems. Now, you've been in the news a lot recently, and Michelin's investing both in Enviro and the technology that you've developed has put Enviro where every pyrolysis project since over the last 30 years has wanted to be, working hand in hand with the tire manufacturer. Is this the game changer that it was expected to be?
Well, thank you, and it's of course it's a fantastic position to be in, and it has taken us many years to reach this. It has been a long road to achieve this, and of course, as you say, it is a game changer, not only for us as a company and the team, but also for the industry in general. I mean, people following the pyrolysis industry for many years knows that there has been some struggles along the way, and both in terms of quality and consistency and so on, but also for the market to really take on the challenge from a sustainability angle, and that is what Michelin now is doing. They are taking a position from the industry side, connecting that with the technology available. So for us, of course, it's a foundation for us to start the real expansion now of the technology, and I hope that this will also help building the market for sustainable fillers in general.
Okay. With its leading place in the market, and it might have Michelin behind it. Does this place Enviro in a better position to sell its Pyrolysis Black into new markets? Has the Michelin link built confidence in the technology and the end product?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have quite many international collaborations already since a few years. But of course, the Michelin connection and the partnership, both as a investor in the company, but also now with the latest information that we are building a plant together in Chile, is solidifying the position that recovered carbon black has a place in the market. And I think it will open many doors that we have been, seeing the potential in. We see many processes that are much faster now than before, especially within the tire industry, but also in general rubber applications where there have been some, reluctancy really to change in larger volumes. That this is giving us the platform to reach larger volumes. And I mean, Michelin have selected us as a technology provider due to the consistency in the quality we provide and the performance of the material. And by introducing that in the example of Moto-E tires, for instance, even if that is a development stage, it is still sending a signal to both a different market, but also different segments of the market, maybe to be more challenging internally to really transfer into sustainable fillers.
Okay. Often when a tire manufacturer becomes involved with a recycling project, it does not always have the positive outcome that is expected. Is the Michelin involvement such that it might restrict access to markets, for example, to other tire manufacturers with your end products?
This market, as we see it, is a multi-million-dollar market. So of course, for us to protect our technology through the patents and through the legal aspects of any collaboration, the Michelin, of course, very important such, but any collaboration is very important. So from the early days of the discussions and negotiations with Michelin, of course, one of the main legal aspects for us has been to be our independence in the market, our ability to grow and not to have any limitations in the collaborations we will have in the future. And it has been, of course, it is difficult to find a win-win situation, but I think that one of the opening aspects in the Michelin discussions has been that they are also investing in the company, which means that they want the company and technology to be successful, not only as Michelin as a tire producer, but as the company. It's beneficial for the company to establish multiple customer relationships and grow the technology into an industrial capacity and grow globally. So I think it is a mutual interest for both companies, and maybe that has been in other cases have been more troublesome because either the tire manufacturer wanted to take a larger stake, or maybe the whole company, or didn't get enough access or enough insight into the company or what is happening. I would also like to say that, I mean, we have been very careful not limiting our freedom to operate. We have one limitation that I think is significant to mention, and that is that Michelin have the exclusivity for the mining tire recycling, and this has been, a quite natural niche for us to discuss in that term of relationship, because they have long-term direct customer relationships, and they can solve a quite major waste problem together with that specific industry. And we think that we are reaching that specific goal together with Michelin and the mining industry and the countries, actually, by shortcutting that. But that is, I would say, the limitation that we have, and we must say that the interest from the tire industry has grown significantly since Michelin entered into the company. So it has been a positive effect, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So the Michelin involvement has really been a groundbreaker, if you like, and it's interesting the development in Chile, where Michelin will be treating their own waste, so they will know exactly what is in those. They will have a high specification feedstock that they know all about. So by controlling the process, they will have a an output that they equally know exactly what they're going to have and what they can do with it. So that's a very interesting development. Where do you see the next steps for Enviro in terms of partnerships and development?
We have a quite solid plan, a strategic plan that entails. The first part is actually, we have been focusing a lot our technology and developing the RCB aspect of the technology, and we feel now we have this platform. We have Michelin as a partner. We have them as an industrial partner in the growth of the technology, and we have them as a customer for the Recovered Carbon Black, which is a fantastic foundation. But we have a little bit less focus until recent times in the oil aspect. So the next phase for us is to establish similar partnerships with companies in the industry that is downstream from our technologies, such as the refinery industry, base oils, chemicals. We have a quite interesting development the last, I would say, 24 months into the chemical industry, where they see that the demand from the market downstream from them is to replace fossil resources, and we see many companies in that area investing in plastic pyrolysis, for instance, at the moment, which is a great achievement as well. But we have an aspect of the material in the tire, which is the bio content, which most plastic doesn't have. So in terms of regulation, tax benefits, and so on, we think that the pyrolysis oil from the tire is even more attractive, actually. So this is the next phase. And then, of course, now we enter into an expansion phase. So it is also finding the right type of partnerships in terms of financing of this pretty aggressive expansion plan, where we look at about 30 plants until 2030, step by step. If everything goes as we if all puzzle pieces fall into the right place at the right time.
Okay. Speaking of the pyrolysis oil, a September 2020 press release spoke of your own pyrolysis oil. A recycling plant based on Enviro's standard model produces, or could produce, approximately from 30,000 tons of tires per year, could produce something around 14,000 tons of pyrolysis oil. Do you envisage that Enviro will attract the partners and investors to make such a plant happen? Who might be interested in such projects when most tire pyrolysis plants are currently low volume production units?
That is a very, very fair question, because when we look at the recovered carbon black volumes that we have seen earlier on, I mean, from until now, more or less, the downstream demand for recovered carbon black has been one limitation why we think a capacity of 30,000 ton is, I mean, it's a sweet spot between what is actually available in type of tires available as feedstock and what is possible downstream in a region close by, or for export that is viable. But as we see that the oil industry and chemical industry demand, I mean, much larger volumes than what a 30,000 ton plant can produce. We are also looking into how we, through our modularized technology, can expand those plants into much larger volumes. So in the UK, for instance, now there is a feasibility study going on where we are looking at a significantly larger plant with a capacity of maybe 90 or 120,000 tons, for instance, of tires. And that is still, I would say, in terms of oil industry and chemical industry, small size plant. But this is a development that we're working with as a part of the expansion phase to locate larger capacities. With, our technology is very much based on a modularized concept. So by adding more modules, we are able to expand at G site. So when we do the site selection, this is a very important aspect right now.
Okay, and finally, will you? It's a fairly obvious question. Will you learn from the experience in the Michelin plant in Chile? Will that assist you in upscaling the technology to meet this anticipated higher volume market?
Yeah, we certainly hope so. That is one of the benefits that we both parties think would be beneficial in this collaboration. So we can already see during the phases of the collaboration we have had so far that the engineering teams on both sides have started to identify both industrial aspects, safety aspects, robustness aspects, and so on there, where we can learn from Michelin's 100-year plus industrial history. And I think they also see that we can teach them something about, I wouldn't say innovation, because they're a very innovative company, but how to work as a small scale unit, small team, rapid decisions, and quite iterative processes internally, and very engaged team. So I hope that we also contribute with something in that collaboration. But we already see that happening at the moment, and the future looks very interesting. Of course, it's two different animals trying to collaborate, but I think it's so far very positive. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sure the answers you've given here will be of interest to our readers and listeners. Enviro is one of the most requested interviews we've had of late. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there interested in your every word.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to hear that, and I'm very happy about the award we won recently, and we think that this is helping the industry a lot. And we know we are a few companies struggling with getting this market up and running, and we look forward to meet them all in the next year's award sessions as well.
And there you have it, the much waited for interview with Thomas Sörensson of Scandinavian Enviro Systems. Look, given there's a lot of places where we could start and dissect from that interview. For you, what is the main highlight for you to take away?
I think the main takeaway from that is the positivity around Enviro now. To be fair, I don't think there was anything that couldn't have been predicted. Anybody with an understanding of the industry, anybody who's watched Enviro and Michelin could have probably second guessed what was going to be said. But we have here, from the horse's mouth, if you like, Thomas Sörensson has put some meat on the bones of the ideas that lots of people have, and that is what I think people wanted to hear, because there's so much speculation going around about what is happening in the industry and who's doing what and how it will work. And here we have Thomas Sörensson telling us how it is straight from Enviro. I don't think we could really have asked for anything more. We're not about going into the technical details or the finances. We can leave that to the experts in these fields. We're about the generalities and the ideas rather than the details. And I think our readers know that, and our viewers know that. But to get that message from Thomas Sörensson, I think, is very important.
No, definitely. It's so interesting. Like, since we started this podcast, the explosion in interest we've seen in the pyrolysis sector. Obviously, some are so much further along than others, aren't they? But you know, I think Scandinavian Enviro Systems and Pyrum Innovations and Boulder are obviously, you know, seem to be doing some really good things.
Yeah, it's having been to many ETRA conferences over the years, it was interesting to see there the growth in development of pyrolysis projects and the volume of people involved in pyrolysis projects. They could have dedicated the whole 3-day conference to pyrolysis. And indeed, there are now dedicated pyrolysis projects, conferences around the world. But most of them were simply projects. They were seeking funding, they were seeking support, they were seeking validation. And of those projects that presented over the years, there's only a handful have actually been successful or have seen it through to this stage. And to be fair, there have been some well-known names who presented to ETRA conferences who are no longer with us in commercial terms.
Mm.
So the guys that have made it through to this stage have done really well. A very difficult and very competitive market.
Definitely. Well, I'm sure we'll hear more from not just Scandinavian Enviro Systems, but the pyrolysis sector over the course of this year, because it's one that continues to bring a lot of news and a lot of development in the tire recycling sector. But anyway, we'll leave it at that for today, Ewan. Thank you once again for your time and your effort in putting together these interviews. Couldn't be done without you. And thank you to our listeners and our viewers for listening and watching. If you could help us out and hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, that would be fantastic. But until then, stay safe.